What to do, good people?
Oh, look at you starting. Hello, let me sip my coffee, guys. Listen.
It ain't time to sip coffee yet, remember? This is me, this is she. This is us.
Hi, I'm Magdala Denor, and this is my husband, John E. Norton Jr. We are here with a Couples Talk video. So this is our Couples Talk podcast where we talk about relationship topics. We talked about certain financial decisions we made when it comes to home purchases, and we've shared how we've bought homes in the different states that we've lived in and how we plan to continue to do that same thing. Wherever we move, we're going to buy a home there. I'm active duty military, so I will be moved every 2 years in the career field that I'm in. So when we move, the next move, we're going to buy a house, or that's the intention, that's the plan. We're writing it in stone. Can you write in stone and be flexible at the same time?
No.
We're writing it. What can we write on and still be able to erase it, just in case it doesn't work out? We're putting it on paper.
The metaphor that you're trying to use don't fit.
Okay, it doesn't fit because we don't know where they're going to send me. Like if they send me overseas, like I'm not buying a house overseas.
I would like to buy a house overseas, depending on where we are, as long as we can rent it out.
Maybe we should talk to people who've lived overseas and have done that. But you don't know what you don't know, right? But our intention and our plan is to buy a home wherever we move. This week, we're going to keep the financial talks going and share other financial things that we've done as a couple to increase our finances. Because finances is very important in your relationship, because a lack of money causes stress. And then that stress shows up in your relationship. You begin to stress. So then you stress each other, and now the relationship is stressed. And stress is just not good. Let's talk about the cars.
So we
go way back.
We started off purchasing cars.
No, we gotta go back further than that. We gotta go back.
What's further than starting off?
So when we first started dating.
So that's starting off.
You said we started off purchasing. Let me see where you're going. Go ahead, take us there.
When we started off purchasing cars, we were financing them.
You're not going back far enough, man.
You go ahead. Okay. Go ahead.
So when John and I first started dating, John didn't have a car. He had gave his car up, so he had a car that he financed. He was like, you know what? These payments too much. Y'all can have this car back. So he let them have it back. I had a car. My car was financed as well. My payments, I got to go way back a little bit. So when I left my ex-husband, I intentionally went to that car dealership and I said, I am not buying anything more than $10,000 because I wanted to keep my debts so low, because I knew I was going to be on my single income and I had to be able to survive because of the relationship that I was coming out of. I was like, there's no way I'm not going to survive. So I went to that car dealership. I bought a car for $8,000. My payments were $187 a month. And my insurance was about like $1 something a month. So my monthly car debt was like about $300. So I had my car. He didn't have a car when we first started dating. So then we started sharing the car. So we were sharing the car that I had. And then when I left for the military and moved to a different state, we bought him another car. So we financed the car for you. So we started off with that finance car. So now we have 2 financed cars.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah. So we just had to go way back.
When we started off doing what?
You financing, but you're not going to.
That's all.
You're not. No, you don't need to clear your throat. There's no need to clear your throat because you weren't giving enough context. You were not giving.
I need to take a sip of coffee.
You were not giving enough context. You needed to go back further. Like, okay. So now they have the backstory and they know that the first 2 cars we had were financed. I had a PT Cruiser. You had a Mitsubishi Galant. Now pick up from there.
So, as I was so eloquently putting it, we started off financing our cars. And so it was because we didn't have the savings, the emergency fund, the different things that we grew into as we progressed in our relationship. The Galant that we had, we ended up having to get a new car because the Galant was in an accident. And so as we were looking at cars, we were like, well, what did we want? What's in our budget for a car? and now we're talking about what type of car. We weren't just going out and get any car that we could get. We knew what car we wanted. Maggie had said, I think she had never had a brand new car. At this point in time, she had never had a brand new spanking car, 0 miles on it. And so we found a great deal on our Dodge Journey because she got this overseas military car program thing. We got the car at a discount, lower than what we would get it going into a dealership. And so I was looking at other cars, and the cars that I wanted was, we just really wasn't trying to spend that type of money for. And that car,
I think the story's not, the pieces of the puzzle is not coming together real quick. So we had the PT, then we had the Galant, and we had those for a while. And then I deployed to Kuwait.
Both cars were paid off at this point.
Yeah, both cars. By this time, the cars were paid off. We did not have any car payments. I deployed to Kuwait, and we ended up replacing the PT Cruiser. I had a 2008 PT Cruiser, and mind you, this is like 2014. So we replaced the PT Cruiser with the Dodge Journey. So I sold the PT Cruiser, and then we bought a brand new 2014 Dodge Journey while I was deployed. So when I came back, now we have the 2014 Dodge Journey and the Mitsubishi Galant. I think the Mitsubishi Galant was like 2006. It was old. It was 2006. I remember now.
At this point in time, it's like 2014. So the Galant is 8 years old.
Yeah, it's older, right?
It got about 100-some thousand miles on it. It's still kicking.
It's a good car. It got us what we needed.
Never had any issues with it.
Yeah. Then the Galant got in an accident, and then we bought
the
Patriot. I love Jeep vehicles.
And so I love Jeep. I gotta insert this here. So when we got the Galant, that was the last time that we got a car that I was the primary driver of the new car. And even in getting the Galant is what she had wanted.
Yeah, I picked out the car.
She picked out every car. When we got the Galant, although I was driving it, she had picked it out. And then we went and got the Journey. She picked that out.
Yes.
We got the Patriot. She picked that out.
It was so cute.
I'm always the person driving the older car nowadays.
I mean, but I drove the Patriot and you kept the Dodge.
The Dodge was the older vehicle.
Okay. So, listen, that was financed too. So we financed the Jeep. So now we have a Dodge that's financed. The Dodge Journey is financed, and then the Jeep is financed. So
the Dodge was paid off.
The Dodge got paid off. Okay.
The Dodge was paid off when we purchased the Jeep.
Okay, that's good.
So we've never had 2 car payments at one time.
Thank God. Thank God. I never, ever, ever want that for our life. So now we move, we have the Dodge, we have the Jeep. The cars, they're getting older. 2022, we gifted the Jeep to my niece who graduated high school, and then we bought the Ford Explorer. So we bought a Ford Explorer 2013.
At this time, the Jeep, the Journey is kicking my,
that car done gone.
Every 6 months, got to put some work into it. And I was at the point where I'm like, you know what?
It's just old.
We had just fixed it up, and I'm like, what did it for me is, I was driving to the base. And so driving to the base to meet with Maggie and take the girls to camp. And the car broke down, and it just stopped. It was like I was driving and it just stopped, and then transmission had gone. We had already replaced. And here's another thing: I'm real big on, if it's going to cost me less to replace the vehicle part, I'm gonna replace that part versus going and buying a new car.
Yeah.
So we were putting about $2,000 to $3,000 a month into the Journey.
A month?
I mean, not a month. $2,000 to $3,000 a year into the Journey to keep it going. And it got to a point to where I wanted something reliable, because the Journey was a local joker. Like you couldn't drive this, you couldn't put it on the road.
No.
So I was like, I need something that I can use, because like wherever I'm going now, and for myself, like if I wanted to go play cards or something like that,
I gotta drive
an hour away to go play. And if I go play at night and the car break down, I have no recourse
I'm
getting back
asleep.
home.
So if you call me, you just
she's sleeping. She's not waking up.
You won't find me.
So
I'm sorry, baby.
I was like, we need to get a new car. I was like, we got to sell this Journey. Although
did we replace the?
So we actually got it fixed.
We got to keep our story straight.
No,
so John is going on a tangent.
Pow.
It's too much. You just get to the point.
So back up.
Oh my gosh.
The transmission had slipped, and so we got it back to where it was working. And I was telling Maggie, we're gonna start looking for a new car. And so we started looking for a car, and I found the Buick at a great deal, and it was like $10,000 for 2010.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Can you 1 second? Now I'm lost. Let's go back. Babe, I thought you were a good storyteller. Okay.
Cause you keep interrupting.
No.
My story is gonna line up until you want to interrupt me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So let's go back. So now we had the Dodge Journey and the Jeep Patriot. Okay. So Dodge Journey, Jeep Patriot. 2022, we gifted the Jeep Patriot to my niece, and then we have the Ford Explorer and the Dodge Journey now. So those are the two cars we have. We have a 2013 Ford Explorer and a 2014 Dodge Journey. Okay, fast forward, we moved from Texas, we are in Florida. The Journey is like, no, this car is giving us massive problems. So we're looking for a new car. John found the 2011 Buick Enclave. And now we replaced the Dodge Journey with the Buick. We paid for the Buick cash, and the Ford was also purchased with cash. So those two cars are cars that we bought cash, and those are the two cars that we have right now.
Where did I go off?
I couldn't tell which car you were talking about the Journey was replaced with. Because I couldn't, it's like, we don't have the Jeep Patriot anymore. Now we have the Ford and the Dodge. The Dodge was replaced with the Buick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that wasn't connecting.
You missed the whole story about the Dodge. You missed the whole story about the Dodge.
You never finished. You didn't.
I was talking about how the Dodge was. We had put money into the. We had just put money into the Dodge. You didn't
tell us that the Ford, the 2013 Ford.
You said
replaced the Jeep.
You said it.
Okay, but continue. So now we're not financing cars anymore. We made that decision. And
we both agree that financing cars isn't the way to go. And the thing is, you, like my brother said, you have to grow your means.
You know what I would say? I would finance a car if I had 0 to 1% interest rate. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Oh, this 7.5, 12. No.
Here's something that has to be said. I understand that people are in the situations that they're in, although they are in control of their situations, but the proper planning isn't taking place, because I know Gina's gonna need a car.
Yeah.
She's gonna need a car, because I am not one driving every. As soon as she can get into a vehicle, she will have something reliable to get her to and from, even if it's just driving to school. I remember like the kids in high school, they driving to school and they are freshmen, or she's gonna be one of them ones. The car that my dad purchased for me in high school was purchased with cash. Same with my older brother and younger brother was purchased with cash. And so when I went away to college, my first car purchase was with cash. I got away from it because you're being sold this newer. You got to have this newer, better. And so now, as a young adult, we're going out and we're buying cars on finance, and it's hitting us over the head.
It is.
Part of the reason why I gave my car back was, it was costing me about $1,000 a month just for this car, between gas, car payment, and car insurance. It was costing me $1,000 a month, and I was only making $2,000 a month.
And then you have housing costs.
How were
you living? You weren't living.
Check to check to casino run to check.
And you had part-time jobs, right?
And I had part-time jobs.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Lord have mercy. Like, it's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. These financing of everything. It is crazy that they want us to finance everything. Like everything you're trying to buy, they like put it on a payment plan, finance it. No, cars are a necessity. I'm not gonna lie. So when I left my ex, I needed a car. How was I gonna get to work? I worked at the courthouse. I went to school full
Cars are a
time.
convenience.
I went to school full time, and I was doing part-time jobs at night. I was like bartending, and I was doing hosting. I can't take the bus to all of these places.
You, it was needed to get to and from.
I had to. Yeah.
But when you look at the grand scheme of things, part of the reason why you were going all to and from was to make more money to cover the expenses that you incurred by having additional things.
I think I was working out of fear, honestly. I'll talk about that in another video.
Yeah.
I was working so much out of fear.
She fears poverty. It's the truth. And look, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Oh my God.
But most of the things that we do is based upon things that we've seen. And so when we've seen certain scenarios and traps, a smart or wise person would say, I'm not doing that.
I don't want that for my life.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
And you also associate different things, good or bad, you associate it with a specific lifestyle. And so you stay away from doing those things because you saw what that lifestyle came with, and you're like, nah, I don't want that for myself either. And so
I will give an example of that. Like, I grew up in a 7-person household. My mom and dad and 5 kids. So I have 4 siblings, and my family was very poor. Like, my parents probably made like $5-6 an hour, working. My dad worked 2 jobs, and we just grew up poor. So I equated having a lot of children with poverty. So growing up, I never wanted children because I said, if you have children, you're going to be poor. Now, not saying that having children is a bad thing, but that was the lens that I was seeing life from because of the way that I grew up. I have 1, and I'm like, okay, children don't equate poverty. I see that now. But 1 is enough for me because of how I grew up, in the lack of finances that I grew up in, the immense fear of poverty that I have. My brain and my mental, it cannot divide the two. I just wanted to give that example because I like what you were saying. And I see that in my life. I see that in myself. I see that in my decision making. I see that in my mannerisms. I see that in the choices that I make. And it all comes down to like, I have a fear of poverty. So the decisions I make, the way I used to work morning, do hair on the weekends, bartending at night. I worked so much because I was like, I'll be damned if I have to need somebody.
I'm different. I need people. I need my family. I need my brothers. I need my wife. I need my kids. It all brings a calming aspect. And like I'll say this and then I'll stop. I was watching this video, and this video was talking about at first this person was waking up, spending a couple hours a day with the kids, going off and doing a couple hours of work, and then coming back home, and the person was like, oh, you're a bum, you're laying around doing nothing. And then they said, well, let me get up, let me go work hard, let me go put all these hours in and grow my wealth, and when it's all said and done, I'll have all this money, and then I can go back home. And they said, you're gonna do what after that? I'm gonna go back home, I'm gonna spend a couple hours a day with my wife and my kids, go out, do a couple hours of work, and then come back home. And then like, well, so you're gonna stop doing that to spend all this time doing this to come back to doing that. And so that's how I look at things also, that a lot of things that we've been pushed to go and do and pushed to go and get, buy the big house, buy the fancy car, get all the clothes that we want, And so you're working hard to acquire these material possessions so you can withdraw and then no longer want to do or have those things. So you just gotta have a plan and keep things in perspective and what you want to do. Like you can have all the fancy cars, the big house, and then you sitting around after you work so hard for it. Man, you're working hard and you can't really enjoy it while you have it. But I will say also that the money will provide, working hard to acquire wealth provides more so for your children and your grandchildren, because now you can pass down a legacy and they don't have to work as hard as you did. Like my dad bust his ass.
Yeah.
My mom bust her ass. So I didn't have to quote unquote work as hard. I still have to work hard, but I didn't have to do the things my dad did. My dad was up before the sunrise and didn't come back home until the sun was down. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to do that because he's provided me a way to get an education.
My mom was out the house by like 5 a.m. My dad worked 2 jobs beside him on the weekend. So it's that struggle life, you know? So anyways, we went off a little bit. Let's bring it back. The cars, right? Now we buy it cash because we have the savings and we plan for those purchases. If you don't have the means or the resources to do that, you can finance, but finance smart. Try to, do your research, take your time if you can, buy a car that is within your means, which means you want to keep the payments low, which means you have to buy low. You don't want to buy a bad car, but you don't want to buy an overpriced car. So it's all about looking at your needs more than your wants. You have anything to add to that? We will share more on this topic. Even though we financed, we had plans for how we would pay off those cars because
we didn't have it for the entire financing period.
That's why I say you have to be smart about it. Come back here next week. We're going to talk about how we paid off those cars fast, because you don't want that long-term monthly payments we don't want that for our lives. Okay? Join us next week for our next couples talk video. We are talking about the finances, because the finances are important in your relationship, because lack of finances equals stress, and we don't like stress. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn the notifications on so you do not miss another video. Hit that like button, hit that share button so your friends can get in on the conversations too. Have a beautiful day.
Have a great one.